Welcome back, Phil 301. Dr. K here. I hope you all are doing well. In our last video, we concluded our discussion of Maimonides' Guide of the Perplexed. In this video, we're going to begin our discussion of Al-Ghazali's, or simply Ghazali's, on knowing yourself and God. Remember, on Canvas, I've posted as well a brief bio of Ghazali, so you can learn more about him as a person. Now, I've had Muslim students in the past tell me that in the Islamic world, this book is second only to the Quran. It's very widely known amongst Muslims, and I can see why. I think it's a wonderful work and full of arguments and interesting analogies. And whatever your religious affiliation, if any, I hope that you'll enjoy it too and think that there are things that you can draw from it and apply to your everyday life. So I'm excited to teach this work and talk about it with you. And what I want to do in this video is identify some of the main topics that we're going to discuss in the work. As is usual, we're not going to be able to cover all the topics that Ghazali discusses in his book. I'm hoping sometime to teach a full class just devoted to Ghazali and this work, but alas, that's not our class. So what I've done is pick some topics that I think would be of interest and possibly of use to you all. So let's go over them now. I want to say first that the book has two main parts. The first is on knowing yourself, and the second is on knowing God. We're going to be focusing mainly on the first part, knowing yourself. So read the whole work if you can. It's rather short, but if you're strapped for time, then focus your attention and analysis on the first book. And if some page numbers would be helpful to help you narrow in your reading and thinking, then what I have listed under topics 1 through 4, you can read about on pages 7 through 12. And topics 5 through 7, you can read about on pages 12 through 20. Let's have a read through the topics now. So the first topic we're going to consider is Ghazali's analysis of human beings, what human beings are, what their parts are, how they're related. The second topic is going to be Ghazali's analysis of what he alternatively calls the soul, the self, the heart. I'll probably use all these terms throughout the videos that I make, so we can think of them as meaning the same thing. Namely, they refer to the core of you, or what you are. The third topic that we're going to discuss is Ghazali's argument for the existence of the soul or self or heart. Right? So in the first topic, he's going to say part of what a human being is an inner spirit or heart or soul or self. And in the second topic, he's going to go into more detail into what that is. And in the third topic, he's going to actually give an argument for the reality of such a component to a human being. And we're going to call this argument the argument from direct experience. The fourth topic we're going to discuss is Ghazali's 3 arguments for the incorporeality of the soul, self, or heart. Right, so after he proves its existence, he goes then to show that it is non-physical or incorporeal. That's to say that it lacks spatial extension. He's going to give 3 arguments for this claim, namely what I call the argument from awareness, the argument from corpses, and the argument from divisibility. Okay, the fifth topic we're going to discuss is Ghazali's account of the 4 elements of a human being. He says inside of every human being, even in the Prophet Muhammad, there are 4 elements: a pig, a wolf, an angel, and a devil or Satan. Now, this topic I'm especially looking forward to and think you might find useful. I've taught this to my kids. I have 2 young boys, to help them explain why sometimes they do the things that they do. You know, get angry. I'll say, oh, that's the wolf. And they'll say, yeah, the wolf is acting up. And I've also talked about this with some of my friends, and I'll see them start to use this account to explain and think about and analyze why they did certain things that they did and how they cannot do those things in the future. So I'm especially looking forward to this topic and think you might find it useful yourself, as I and others have too. The sixth topic that we're going to discuss is Ghazali's account of the traits that come from mastering or submitting to the various elements. Right, so Ghazali takes these four elements inside every human being to be vying for the control of that human being. The wolf wants to lead, the pig wants to lead, the angel wants to lead, and the devil or Satan wants to lead. And he thinks there are various consequences for submitting to and letting these various elements lead, or to mastering them and subduing them. For example, if you submit to the wolf, then you become a vicious, aggressive person, someone who is prone to using harsh language and violence. So as I create this video, it's March of 2022, and I'm sure all of you who are listening to it around that time will be familiar with the incident at the Oscars where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock for a joke that he made and then proceeded to basically cuss him out. That right there would seem to be a textbook or perfect example of the wolf ruling in a human being. That's not to say that Will Smith did anything wrong. I'm not advancing a position on that in this video. And Ghazali doesn't think that anytime the wolf comes out, something wrong or immoral has happened. He thinks that sometimes the wolf needs to be let out, but it has to be at the right time, at the right place, in the right conditions, to the right extent. And as we'll see, Ghazali holds that right time to let the wolf out is going to be when the angel inside you deems that the wolf should be let out. Because the angel is the one that seeks knowledge and goodness and virtue. And this leads us to the last topic on the list, topic 7, where Ghazali is going to advance two arguments that manifesting the angelic attributes is the human purpose. He's going to give what I call the positive argument and the negative argument, or the argument from elimination. So essentially, Ghazali is going to argue that what you need to do is align with or submit to the angel, be ultimately ruled generally by the angel, and master the pig, the wolf, and the Satan, and only use the pig and the wolf when the angel deems necessary. Basically, he says the pig and the wolf should be put on a leash, and they should only be let out when the angel lets them out and off the leash. Okay, so those are the main topics that, in the least, I want to discuss. It may not be that there's a video for each topic. For example, I may split topic 4 up into 3 videos. I have to see how long it would take for each. But you can expect we're going to cover at least those topics, no matter how many videos there's going to be. What I want to do now is just go over briefly some other topics that we're likely not going to get to, but which I've discussed with students in the past and which they found interesting. And so you could look for them if you want to further your studies of Ghazali. The first topic in 8 is his two arguments for another opening in the heart. So Ghazali thinks that the heart, or the soul, or the self, the inner spirit, has a kind of eye through which it can view various truths and facts that aren't available to the eyes of the body. This is something akin to Augustine's eye of the mind. And he gives two arguments for it, what I call the argument from experience or intuition and the argument from dreams. 9, Ghazali gives a taxonomy of occasions for the opening of the heart. That's to say, he gives a list of conditions under which that eye of the mind opens, and you can see clearly with it and how to evoke that opening. The 10th is Ghazali gives a what's called design argument for God, what I call the argument from the design of the human body. He takes the intricacies of the human body to imply that there is a creator of the human body that is all good, all knowing, and all powerful, and hence is akin to what we identify with as God. The last topic is Ghazali's argument that man's highest happiness lies in knowledge of God. Right, so these are all further arguments and theories or accounts to keep an eye out for on Knowing Yourself and God. Again, we might not get to them, but students in the past have found them interesting, so I wanted to tip you off to them being in the work in case you were looking to read more from Ghazali. And on that point of wanting to look further into Ghazali, I wanted to show you two more works which might be of interest to you. The first is Ghazali's Path to Sufism, or his Deliverance from Error. This is his autobiography, which describes his journey to becoming a Sufi mystic. Now, I'm not certain about this. I tried to look back through his Path to Sufism today, see if I could find the story. But I think that in this work is where we find him telling the story of coming back from his studies with all the works that he had written and getting robbed. And he pleaded and pleaded with the robber to give him back these books because he'd spent his life in working on them. They contained all the most important truths that he has found. And the robber mocked him and said to him, all the most important truths that you found should be in your heart, not in some book somewhere, right? And eventually the robber gives him back everything. And Ghazali comes to think that Allah had sent that robber to him to teach him that message. But regardless of whether that story is in there or not, and it just may be apocryphal, it's full of other wonderful stories. It's something similar to Augustine's autobiography, which he titled The Confessions. And along with The Confessions, it's regarded as one of the greatest spiritual autobiographies that's ever been written. Another book by Ghazali that you might find interesting is The Marvels of the Heart. This is essentially a more in-depth, more detailed version of On Knowing Yourself and God. And it is part of a longer work which he wrote, which is called The Revival of the Religious Sciences. All right, so there you have it, guys. In this video, we talked about some of the main topics we're going to discuss in Ghazali's On Knowing Yourself and God. I said there are 7 in the least that we're going to discuss, and I identified a few more that we're likely not going to get to, but that I thought you might find of interest and wanted to tip you off if you wanted to read more within On Knowing Yourself and God on your own. And I also pointed out to you 2 more works of Ghazali's which you might find of interest. His autobiography, which is called The Path to Sufism, or his Deliverance from Error, and his work, which is an expansion of the one that we're reading in class and is called The Marvels of the Heart. In the next video, we're going to discuss Ghazali's analysis of human beings. So I'll see you in the next video. Dr. K out.